On a dark, stormy planet in the outer reaches of the Zarathian sector, the warlord Varkan sat in his towering citadel. His 6 eyes glimmered under the pale light of twin moons. Around him, holographic screens displayed his empire, fleets of warships, armies of mercenaries, and the galaxy's deadliest assassins. And on one screen, the target that had drawn all his attention, a human. Varkan leaned forward, claws tapping the metal armrest of his throne. "Prepare the assassins," he commanded, his voice cold and steady. "I want him eliminated before dawn. No mistakes. No failures. No excuses." His advisor, a tall, spindly alien with translucent skin, hesitated. "My lord, humans are unpredictable. We know very little about them. Are you certain this is wise?" Varkan's 6 eyes narrowed. "I am certain. They are weak, small, and fragile. The galaxy has always laughed at humans. They are not fighters. They are not threats. This human will fall just like the others." A faint flicker of unease passed over the advisor's face. "But legends speak of their cunning, their adaptability." Varkan waved him off. "Legends, stories, exaggerations. I will not be fooled by tales of weak creatures. Bring me the best assassins and make sure they are discreet and lethal." Across the galaxy, elite assassins were gathering. Slarvix, known for slicing through reinforced metal with his plasma blades. Renya, who could vanish into shadows and appear behind her target without warning. Karan, whose marksman skill was said to be flawless. Each assassin carried a reputation as deadly and precise, trained to kill anyone in any circumstance. The human, Captain Ethan Marks, sat in a small workshop on a quiet planet far from the warlord's empire. He appeared ordinary, a man in simple clothes sipping a cup of hot tea while adjusting the circuits of a personal device. To anyone else he was a quiet engineer. But hidden in his calm demeanor was a mind sharp as a blade. He noticed patterns, calculated risks, and adapted instantly to unexpected changes. As the assassins approached, Varkan watched eagerly from his citadel. "No human has ever survived a direct strike from the best," he murmured. "He will fall." The first assassin, Slarvix, slipped through the shadows of Ethan's neighborhood. His blades glowed faintly under the dim light, ready to strike. Yet as he moved closer, strange coincidences slowed him. A stack of crates toppled unexpectedly, forcing him to duck. A stray animal ran in his path, barking and distracting him. Even the locks he had studied so carefully seemed to shift on their own, slightly out of place. Slarvix froze. Impossible, he thought. He had trained for decades, faced creatures far larger and faster than humans, and yet something about this man, this human, made him hesitate. Inside the workshop, Ethan adjusted a small energy panel, unaware of the danger closing in. He had learned to notice small disturbances, a flicker in the lights, a shifting shadow, and respond without panic. It was instinct, training, and intelligence all working together. He moved calmly, unknowingly avoiding the first traps laid by the assassins. Renya, the second assassin, approached from another angle. She had studied Ethan's routine, memorized every door, every window, every pathway. But as she moved closer, subtle things happened. A gust of wind sent loose papers flying, covering her steps. A passerby blocked her line of sight. And in a moment of inexplicable timing, Ethan seemed to sense her presence, turning just enough to avoid her path, his movements smooth and controlled. Renya's confidence wavered. No human should be this aware, she thought. No human should be this clever. Back in his citadel, Varkan leaned forward, watching the feed. His claws tightened around the armrest. "Impossible," he growled. "I hired the best. They cannot fail." Failure after failure was reported to him in real time. Slarvix barely escaped the first attempt. Renya had to retreat, and Karan's precise aim was thwarted by the human's unpredictable movements. Varkan's fury grew with every report, but so did his unease. What he did not understand, and what no one in the galaxy had truly grasped, was this: humans were not weak. They were clever, adaptable, and resourceful. Their intelligence allowed them to turn disadvantages into advantages. Where other species relied solely on brute strength or superior technology, humans used strategy, observation, and instinct to survive. Ethan finished adjusting his device and leaned back, sipping his tea once more. Calm, unshaken, completely unaware of the chaos forming just outside his door. Yet his mind had already registered subtle disturbances, the tiny irregularities in his environment that hinted at danger. He was ready even if he did not know the full scale of the threat. The stage was set. The assassins, armed with deadly skills and advanced technology, were about to face something no one had predicted. Varkan, arrogant and confident, believed the human would be gone by sunrise. But what he did not yet know was that humans had a truth the galaxy often ignored. They were clever, adaptable, and never to be underestimated. And as Ethan took another calm sip of tea, he smiled faintly to himself, unaware that the universe was about to discover exactly why humans were more dangerous than anyone had ever imagined. The twin moons hung low in the sky, casting silver light over the quiet planet where Captain Ethan Marks lived. Unseen in the shadows, the assassins gathered, preparing for the strike that would change nothing if Ethan's reputation was true. Varkan's confidence was absolute. Humans are weak. This will be easy, he had thought. Slarvix, the first assassin, crouched atop a nearby building, scanning the streets below. His plasma blades glinted faintly, ready to strike. Target in sight, he whispered into his communicator. Renya, moving like a shadow, circled the perimeter of Ethan's home. I will intercept from the north, she said. No human can escape both of us. Karan, stationed on a distant hill, loaded his plasma rifle. One shot, one kill, he muttered. He won't even know what hit him. Varkan watched from his citadel through the holoscreen. A slow smile crossed his six-eyed face. Begin, he commanded. Do not fail. The assassins moved with perfect precision. Each step was calculated, each breath measured. Yet, as they advanced, subtle obstacles began to appear. A pile of crates toppled unexpectedly, blocking Slarvix's path. A gust of wind scattered leaves, momentarily revealing Renya's hiding place to Karan, who had to adjust his aim. Inside his small workshop, Ethan worked quietly. He had noticed unusual sounds outside, a faint scrape here, a shadow flicker there, but he remained calm. Years of observation and careful planning had taught him that danger often made itself known in small, almost imperceptible ways. Slarvix crept closer, blades at the ready. He moved silently, confident that no human could detect him. Yet as he neared the door, the lock clicked open before his hand reached it. He froze, eyes wide. Oh. Renya approached the northern entrance. Her eyes scanned for signs of movement. A stray animal ran past her, barking and forcing her to retreat. This human, she muttered. He is aware. Karan adjusted his aim from the hilltop. His rifle was precise, deadly. He fired a single plasma bolt toward the workshop window. The bolt struck, but instead of harming Ethan, it bounced harmlessly off a hidden shield he had installed. Ethan had anticipated intrusions, small defensive measures that made him appear ordinary while keeping him safe. Inside, Ethan finally acknowledged the disturbances. Calmly, he moved to a different part of the workshop, adjusting the position of a few devices. He wasn't panicked. He was calculating, observing, and preparing for the inevitable confrontation. Slarvix tried to enter through the main door, only to find it jammed inexplicably. He pushed harder, and a faint shock from an overlooked circuit sent him stumbling backward. Renya, attempting a flanking maneuver, tripped over a loose panel and landed on her knees. Karan's precision shots failed to hit anything but the walls. Varkan's screen showed the chaos. Rage flashed in his eyes. Impossible. They cannot fail. I have chosen the best assassins in the galaxy. But they were failing. Every step forward was met with an unexpected obstacle, every attack countered by what seemed like instinct. And through it all, Ethan remained calm, calculating, and completely in control. Slarvix muttered to himself, no human should be this aware. No human should anticipate us. Renya's whisper trembled. It's like he knows what we are going to do before we do it. Even Karan's voice was edged with disbelief. Every prediction I made, wrong. How is this possible? The human mind, it seemed, was more unpredictable than any algorithm, more adaptable than any technology. Ethan's survival instincts combined with his intelligence created a perfect defense against attackers who relied on brute force, speed, and precision. Suddenly, a small alarm Ethan had set began to buzz softly. It was not a warning for him, it was a lure. He had anticipated the intruders and set traps of minimal force, enough to redirect them, confuse them, and slow them down. Slarvix stumbled into one such device, a net of thin wires that lifted him into the air, entangling him briefly before he freed himself. Renya fell backward, caught in a simple but effective energy field that disrupted her movements. Karan's plasma shots were deflected by thin mirrors Ethan had positioned around the room. Simple, clever, and entirely unexpected. Through all of this, Ethan never panicked. He adjusted his environment calmly, using logic and quick thinking to remain safe while frustrating the assassins at every turn. Varkan's fury reached its peak. Impossible. I control the galaxy. No human has survived such precision and skill. But Ethan's calm, clever mind continued to turn the tables. The assassins were being tested, not just by strength, not just by skill, but by human ingenuity. Every trap they tried to set was met with subtle countermeasures. Every stealth approach was noticed and nullified. And in the quiet moments between chaos, Ethan paused, sipping his tea, smiling faintly. He did not yet know the full scale of the alien threat, but he understood one thing clearly: humans are never to be underestimated. The stage was set for even greater challenges. The assassins would not give up so easily, and Varkan's impatience would soon escalate. But one thing was certain: the human target was clever, resourceful, and ready for whatever came next. The galaxy was about to learn a lesson it had long ignored: humans were far more dangerous than anyone believed. The twin moons cast a cold, silver light across the quiet planet, illuminating the small workshop where Captain Ethan Marks worked. Outside, shadows moved with deadly intent. The assassins had regrouped, shaken by their earlier failures. Slarvix, Renya, and Karan exchanged frustrated glances. They had underestimated the human, and now they were determined to finish the job. Slarvix whispered, "We cannot allow him to escape again. Move quietly. Strike fast." Renya nodded, her eyes scanning the windows and doors for any sign of movement. "We adapt. He will not outsmart us twice." Karan raised his plasma rifle. "I will not miss this time. He is only human. He is weak. We cannot fail again." Varkan watched from his citadel through the holoscreen, his claws tightening. "Do not fail," he growled. "Do not let a human defy you." The assassins moved as one, silent shadows slipping through the alleys and streets. But Ethan was not asleep to the danger. Though he seemed calm, he had noticed subtle disturbances: the faint scrape of claws on metal, the whisper of wind against the windows, the unusual stillness of the animals nearby. Ethan paused in his work, his hands steady as he activated a few small devices. A soft hum filled the workshop, almost imperceptible. These were not weapons but clever tools designed to confuse, slow, and misdirect intruders. The first assassin reached the main door. Slarvix's hand rested on the handle, ready to strike. Yet the door refused to open. A faint pulse of energy blocked him, forcing him to step back. He cursed under his breath, scanning for another entry point. Renya approached from the northern window, sliding quietly along the wall. Her fingers brushed the frame. Just as she reached for it, a thin net of wires shot out from inside, tangling her briefly. She fought free, but the delay was enough. Ethan had already moved, positioning himself where he could see the entire room and anticipate the next move. Karan took aim from a hill across the street. His plasma rifle glowed with lethal energy. He fired a bolt directly at the workshop window. But Ethan, calm and composed, triggered a reflective panel that deflected the blast harmlessly into the wall behind him. The metal hissed and burned, but Ethan remained safe. "Impossible," muttered Karan. "How can a human predict everything?" Inside the workshop, Ethan moved with quiet confidence. He did not panic, did not yell, did not run. He watched, calculated, and waited. The human's greatest advantage, he knew, was their mind, the ability to think, adapt, and improvise under pressure. Slarvix and Renya regrouped, frustrated by the traps and devices. "He knows we are coming," Slarvix hissed. "He anticipates every step. It's unnatural." Renya's 6 eyes narrowed. Though not human, she had keen perception. "I've never seen this before. He is calm, precise, and he adapts faster than we can strike." Varkan's holoscreen showed every movement, and his anger grew. "This cannot be. I control the galaxy. No human should survive." Ethan, sipping his tea, noticed the 3 shadows outside. He made no sudden movements. Instead, he triggered a small, quiet mechanism, a series of holographic projections designed to confuse and mislead. Suddenly, the assassins found themselves facing illusions. Multiple copies of the human moving in different directions. Every step they took seemed to lead them into traps of their own making. Slarvix struck at one illusion, passing harmlessly through it. Renya lunged, but the projection split and shifted, making her stumble. Karan fired his rifle at one image, but the bolt hit nothing but air. Ethan's calm smile widened. He had faced danger before, not like this, but danger nonetheless. He understood the principles of anticipation, prediction, and control. And while the assassins believed they were hunting him, he had already calculated their every likely move. From the citadel, Varkan roared in frustration. "I will not tolerate failure. Kill him." Show him no human is untouchable. The assassins hesitated, their confidence shaken. They were the best killers in the galaxy, yet every attempt had been countered by a man who seemed ordinary, fragile, and unarmed, yet who outsmarted them at every turn. Ethan observed them quietly, ready for the final moment. With a flick of his wrist, he activated another device, a magnetic pulse that sent Slarvik spinning off balance, Renya tumbling backward and Karan's rifle clattering to the ground. They scrambled to regain their footing, but the human remained calm, composed, and completely in control. The first confrontation had ended. The assassins were alive but humiliated, confused, and furious. The human, Captain Ethan Marks, had not even broken a sweat. Varkan's anger reached its peak. No. This is impossible. Humans are weak. They cannot survive my assassins. But for the first time, doubt crept into his mind. Perhaps humans are not as weak as the galaxy claims. Ethan returned to his devices, sipping his tea, still calm, still in control. The galaxy had underestimated humans for centuries. And in this small workshop, under the silver light of twin moons, it would learn something very important. Humans were clever, resourceful, and not to be underestimated. The stage was set for the next confrontation. The assassins would try again, Varkan's anger would grow, and the truth about humans would begin to emerge, one clever, calculated step at a time. The night air was tense, filled with the faint hum of alien technology and the distant glow of the twin moons. Outside Captain Ethan Marks' workshop, the assassins regrouped, their confidence shaken, their pride bruised. Every attack they had launched so far had failed. Every prediction had been wrong. And yet they were determined. This human, however ordinary he seemed, would not escape again. Inside, Ethan calmly reviewed the subtle disturbances he had noticed earlier. He had prepared for such encounters, small devices, clever traps, and a keen understanding of movement and psychology. The human's greatest strength, he knew, was their ability to anticipate and adapt. And he intended to use it to full effect. Slarvik's was the first to move. He climbed a nearby wall, blades drawn, eyes fixed on the faintest shadow. He is clever, he muttered under his breath. Too clever. But cleverness does not stop the blade. Renya advanced from the north, moving with the silent grace of a shadow. Her hands were empty, her movements precise. This human is unusual, she whispered. He sees what we do not. Karan positioned himself on a distant hill, plasma rifle in hand. I will end this, he said with quiet determination. One shot, one kill. This time he cannot escape. Ethan, sitting at his workbench, noticed the faint distortions in the air, the subtle ripples that betrayed the assassin's movements. He did not panic. Instead, he reached for a small device on the table, pressing a few buttons. A soft hum filled the room and the workshop's walls shimmered faintly. The assassins hesitated. Shadows seemed to move where no one stood. Slarvix lunged at what he thought was Ethan but passed through thin air. Renya tried to flank him, but a holographic projection split in front of her eyes, sending her sprawling. Karan fired his plasma rifle at one of the illusions, and the bolt hit the wall harmlessly, leaving a smoking mark. Ethan moved with quiet precision, repositioning himself to observe every angle of the room. He did not need brute force, he needed cunning, speed, and knowledge. Every small device, every holographic projection, every subtle trap was calculated to delay, confuse, and misdirect. Impossible. Slarvix growled. No human should be able to anticipate our moves. Renya's voice trembled slightly. It's as if he sees the future. Karan's jaw tightened. This cannot be, we are the best. We cannot fail like this. Ethan watched them carefully, noting their frustration, their movements, their habits. Humans were weak in size, yes, but strong in mind. And he was about to demonstrate that strength. With a calm gesture, Ethan activated another device, a simple yet clever mechanism. Thin energy lines shot out across the room, subtle enough that they were nearly invisible. Slarvik stepped into one, tripping and tumbling across the floor. Renya tried to leap over another, only to be caught briefly before she regained her balance. Karan's plasma bolt misfired, hitting a mirrored panel Ethan had positioned to redirect energy harmlessly. Ethan's calm smile widened. He did not rush, he did not panic. The assassins, trained to kill with precision and speed, were now reacting to him. He had become the predator and they were the prey. From his citadel, Varkan watched, furious. How is this possible? He growled. Humans are small, fragile, insignificant. No human should survive this. Kill him. Kill him now. But the assassins were already struggling. Every attack was anticipated, every movement countered. Ethan's mind worked faster than their reflexes, smarter than their strategies and calmer than their fury. Slarvix finally rose, rage flashing in his eyes. He is not just clever, he is dangerous. Too dangerous. Renya nodded. We cannot underestimate him again. Every move we make is predicted. Karan lowered his rifle slightly. I do not understand, but he is alive. He is calm. He is winning. Ethan moved silently, stepping behind a console. He triggered a magnetic pulse that disrupted the assassin's balance, sending Slarvix sliding across the floor, Renya stumbling and Karan dropping his weapon. It was not lethal, he had no desire to kill, but it was enough to gain control. For the first time the assassins hesitated. Their confidence shattered, their pride wounded, they realized they were facing something they had never encountered before. A human who was clever, calm and entirely unpredictable. Varkan's 6 eyes narrowed, a flicker of doubt entering his mind. Could it be that humans are not as weak as I believed? Ethan, sipping his tea once more, looked at the 3 exhausted assassins. He had not yet raised his voice. He had not yet drawn a weapon. And yet, he had won the first real confrontation. Humans were underestimated across the galaxy, but not anymore. The stage was set. The assassins had failed once and Varkan's anger grew. But Ethan's calm intelligence had proven one thing beyond doubt. Humans were clever, resourceful, and not to be underestimated. The next encounter would test them even further. And the galaxy would soon learn the truth about humans. Strength did not always come from size or weapons. Sometimes it came from the mind. The night had deepened and the twin moons hung low, bathing the quiet planet in silver light. Outside Captain Ethan Mark's workshop, the assassins regrouped, shaken and frustrated. Their previous attempts had failed. Every move they made had been anticipated, countered or neutralized. Yet they were far from giving up. Slarvix, rubbing his bruised shoulder from the earlier magnetic pulse, whispered, "We cannot keep failing. He is clever, yes, but no human is invincible. We need a new strategy." Renya's 6 eyes blinked rapidly, reflecting a mixture of fear and anger. Adaptation alone will not win. He is more than clever, he is unpredictable. We cannot approach him the same way. Karan, still on the distant hill, raised his plasma rifle and frowned. I underestimated him. Big mistake. But now we escalate. We hit harder. Faster. More dangerous. From his citadel, Varkan's 6 eyes glared at the holoscreen. Do not fail again, he roared. Destroy him. Show no mercy. The assassins moved with renewed intensity. Their precision and speed were unmatched, their coordination near perfect. But Ethan had already anticipated escalation. The calm human had studied patterns, noticed tendencies, and prepared subtle countermeasures for any threat. Slarvix approached the main entrance, moving silently along the walls. Ethan noticed the shadow long before it reached him. With a flick of his wrist, he activated a concealed device that emitted a soft pulse, momentarily disabling Slarvix's energy blades. The assassin stumbled back, momentarily disoriented. Renya advanced from the northern side, attempting a high jump onto the roof of the workshop. As she landed, she triggered another of Ethan's clever traps, a thin, nearly invisible web of energy lines that slowed her momentum and forced her to slide across the rooftop. She hissed in frustration, quickly regaining her balance but losing precious seconds. Karan fired multiple plasma bolts from his hilltop position. Each shot was precise, each calculation perfect. Yet Ethan had positioned reflective panels strategically around the workshop. Every bolt bounced harmlessly off the surfaces, scorching walls, but leaving the human untouched. Inside, Ethan moved calmly between his devices. He adjusted a small shield here, triggered a holographic projection there. Every action was deliberate. He did not panic. He did not shout. He did not even move faster than necessary. His mind worked faster than any weapon, faster than any assassin. Outside, Slarvix muttered, no human should be able to anticipate every attack. No human should be this prepared. Renya growled, we are trained killers. We should not be outsmarted by a small, ordinary human. Karan's fingers tightened around his rifle. He is not ordinary. He is something else. Something dangerous. Ethan, sipping his tea with a faint smile, observed their struggle. He could have fought back physically, but he didn't need to. He didn't rely on strength, speed, or brute force. His advantage lay in his mind, calculation, anticipation, and creativity. The assassins were fast, lethal, and precise, yet they were predictable in their unpredictability. Slarvix lunged at what he thought was Ethan's position. He fell into a clever trap, a series of thin magnetic wires that lifted him into the air, suspending him helplessly for a moment. Renya tried to flank, only to be temporarily immobilized by a subtle energy pulse that Ethan had positioned as a defensive measure. Karan, frustrated, fired repeatedly, only to watch each shot deflect harmlessly against the hidden shields. For the first time the assassins hesitated. Confidence gave way to frustration. Frustration to fear. They were the best killers in the galaxy, and yet a single human had outsmarted them again and again. Varkan's 6 eyes burned with fury. Impossible. This is impossible. Humans are weak. They are small, fragile. How can one human resist my assassins? Inside the workshop, Ethan calmly reset one of his devices, watching the assassins struggle. He had planned for escalation. He had anticipated every move, every counterattack, every possible mistake they could make. And now he was ready for the next phase, the phase where he would turn their strength against them. The assassins, exhausted and bewildered, began to retreat slightly, regrouping for another strike. But Ethan's subtle traps and clever planning continued to hold them at bay. They were fast, lethal, and precise, but humans were unpredictable. Humans were adaptable. Humans were clever. And in that quiet workshop, under the silver light of the moons, the first lesson became clear. Humans were not weak. Humans were not ordinary. They were dangerous. They were a force to be respected, feared, and underestimated at one's peril. Ethan smiled faintly, sipping his tea. The galaxy had thought him weak, ordinary, and defenseless. The assassins had thought him vulnerable, fragile, and easy to kill. And yet here he was, calm, composed, and entirely in control. The stage was set for the final confrontations. The assassins would escalate further, Varkan would grow more desperate, and the truth about humans, clever, resourceful, and unstoppable, would soon be undeniable. The night had grown darker, shadows stretching long across the empty streets. The assassins, Slarvix, Renya, and Karan regrouped silently. Their pride had been shattered. Their confidence, eroded. Yet they were determined. Failure was not an option. Varkan demanded success. But the human, Captain Ethan Marks, had already prepared for this moment. Ethan stood quietly in his workshop, listening to the faintest sounds outside. A scrape against the wall. A whisper of movement. A shadow flitting past the corner of his vision. He did not panic. He did not raise his voice. Instead, he smiled faintly, knowing the assassins were walking straight into the trap he had meticulously prepared. Outside, Slarvix signaled the others. We strike now. He cannot escape us this time. Renya nodded, her movements silent and calculated. We will not fail. No human can survive against all 3 of us together. Karan aimed his plasma rifle from the distant hill. We finish this. One strike. Precise. Deadly. But Ethan had already anticipated their combined attack. A faint hum filled the air as holographic projections flickered to life around the workshop. Shadows of humans, dozens, maybe hundreds, moved across the walls and ceilings, all in perfect synchronization with his real position. The assassins froze. Impossible, whispered Slarvix. There are too many of them. Renya took a cautious step forward, only to stumble as an energy pulse nudged her off balance. This is madness, she muttered. How does he control so many? Karan fired at one projection, but the bolt passed harmlessly through a flickering image. Confusion spread like wildfire among the 3. Each step they took seemed to lead into a new obstacle. Every attack they tried was anticipated and neutralized before it could reach Ethan. Inside, Ethan moved calmly, adjusting small devices and activating subtle traps. He did not fight directly. He did not need to. The assassin's strength, their speed, precision, and coordination, was being used against them. Varkan's holoscreen glowed with fury. No human should survive this. Impossible. Kill him. Kill him now. But the assassins were already disoriented. Slarvix collided with a holographic wall. Renya fell into a magnetic trap that lifted her briefly into the air. Karan's plasma rifle misfired against an invisible shield, sparks flying from the metal casing. Stop. This cannot happen. Slarvix yelled, swinging his blade at a shadow, and hitting nothing but air. Renya's voice trembled. We are trapped, controlled, fooled by a single human. Karan clenched his teeth. I cannot predict anything he does. Ethan stepped forward calmly, his eyes scanning each assassin's movements. You wanted a challenge, he said softly, almost to himself. Here it is. He triggered another subtle device. Thin, almost invisible wires shot across the room, guiding the assassins' momentum in directions they did not intend. Every move they made brought them closer to temporary immobilization, confusion, and frustration. Slarvik struggled to free himself from the magnetic hold. Renya fought to regain her balance. Karan wrestled with his malfunctioning plasma rifle. All three were trapped in a delicate web of strategy, technology, and human ingenuity. Ethan's calmness contrasted sharply with their chaos. He had done nothing but anticipate, adapt, and subtly manipulate the environment. No brute force. No reckless speed. Just the power of the human mind, the ability to observe, calculate, and turn every advantage against the enemy. From the citadel, Varkan's 6 eyes narrowed. Doubt crept into his mind for the first time. Could it be that humans are not weak? That they are dangerous? Ethan, sipping his tea, glanced at the struggling assassins. He had not even raised his voice. He had not drawn a weapon. And yet, he had turned the tide completely. The first strike had failed. The second had failed. And now, the third attempt, the escalation, was crumbling. Humans were clever, resourceful, and impossible to underestimate. The stage was set for the final showdown. The assassins would not give up easily. Varkan's fury would reach its peak. But Ethan had already proven one undeniable truth. Humans were far stronger than anyone believed. The night was eerily silent, except for the faint hum of alien technology and the soft crackle of distant energy fields. Outside Captain Ethan Mark's workshop, the assassins, Slarviks, Renya, and Karan, stood exhausted, furious, and desperate. Their confidence had been shattered. Their attacks had failed again and again. Every strike had been anticipated, every trap countered. Varkan's 6 eyes glowed in fury from his citadel. I will not allow a human to defy me. Kill him now. Leave nothing. The assassins exchanged glances. They had trained their entire lives for perfection, precision, and deadly skill. But a single human had outsmarted them at every turn. The realization settled over them like ice. Humans are not weak. Humans are clever. Humans are dangerous. Ethan stood inside his workshop, calm as ever. His devices hummed softly, holographic projections flickering around him, subtle traps barely noticeable. He had not panicked. He had not shouted. He had not even raised a weapon. And yet he had already won. Slarviks lunged forward one final time, blades drawn. Renya followed, silently moving to flank. Karan aimed his plasma rifle, steady and precise. Their last chance. One coordinated strike. One deadly move. Ethan smiled faintly. He had been waiting for this moment. He activated a new device, a subtle energy net that spread across the room faster than the eye could see. The assassin's momentum carried them straight into it. Magnetic restraints wrapped around their limbs, energy pulses immobilizing them without harming a single one. The holographic projections multiplied, confusing them further. Shadows moved where no one stood, reflections of movement where no real human existed. Every angle, every possible approach, every escape route had been anticipated. Slarvik struggled against the energy net, rage flashing in his eyes. This is impossible. No human should have this power. Renya's 6 eyes widened in disbelief. How is he controlling everything? How does he see every move before we make it? Karan, struggling with his immobilized plasma rifle, muttered, he is unstoppable. This is human ingenuity. Ethan walked calmly among them, his presence quiet but commanding. You wanted a challenge, he said softly. This is what humans can do. Cleverness, strategy, and calm focus, sometimes that is stronger than weapons. From the citadel, Varkan's fury reached a peak, but doubt had already crept in. Impossible, no species should survive like this. Humans, dangerous. The assassins, trapped, frustrated, and exhausted, realized the truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were not ordinary. Humans could outthink, outsmart, and outlast almost any opponent in the galaxy. Ethan activated a final device, a subtle but undeniable display of control. Lights danced, magnetic pulses shifted the environment, and every remaining attack from the assassins was rendered useless before it could begin. The trio, defeated but unharmed, collapsed to their knees. They could do nothing. The human had triumphed. Calm, clever, and precise, he had turned their strength into weakness, their confidence into hesitation, and their deadly skills into confusion. Ethan looked at them quietly. You see now, he said, humans are not weak. Humans are clever. And humans never give up. From the citadel, Varkan glared at the holoscreen, realizing his defeat. For the first time he felt uncertainty, a sense of fear he had never experienced. The galaxy had underestimated humans for centuries. That mistake would not be repeated. The assassins, now humbled, understood one simple truth. The human mind was a weapon far more powerful than any blade, plasma, or technology. And Captain Ethan Marks had proven it. As the twin moons cast their silver light over the quiet planet, Ethan returned to his workshop, calm, composed, victorious. The galaxy had learned something important that night. Humans were clever, resourceful, and not to be underestimated. The legend of humans, of their ingenuity and courage, had grown. And the universe would never forget the night a single human outsmarted the deadliest assassins in the galaxy.